Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Avi, and today I will be playing, your local real kind doctor, Inmate 01. It's been a hot minute since I played them. And with me today are two of my lovely, dearest friends who I adore so very much.
Hi, I am Fletch, also known as Fletcher, and I'm going to be playing everyone's favorite baby detective because there are none else, Camille.
Hello, I am Oatmeal. I'll be playing the professor, uh, very stupid alien man. And I'm also trying desperately to grab something with my foot so I can get my chapstick. Alright, we're good.
Alright, I'm trying to figure out how to set the scene a little bit. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
A lot of things have been, like, I guess you could say discovered, in terms of, like, Camille's ongoing condition.
Yeah, through various memes and FPSs.
Yeah.
But that does mean, we do need to get everybody, up to speed on everything, and unfortunately, someone who... Hi, Luna. Someone who does not have, a lot of free time for legal reasons,
For
is...
actual legal reasons.
For
Yeah.
literal legal reasons!
Yeah.
Is Camille's doctor.
Yeah.
Um,
This guy has a job. He's busy.
Camille, how do you, God, I just entered DMing mode for this intro.
It's fine.
Camille, how do you go about, getting Professor to come along?
To be honest, he is probably just... Look, I'm sick of being the middleman. We'll just have you two talk to each other.
Well, alright.
Professor voice, yeah, alright, sure. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Camille's just, I don't have a medical degree. There's some concepts which are being lost here, and I'd rather not have to go back and forth, lose stuff in translation when then could just be talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, so he agrees to go with Camille at his next they'll probably make an appointment to talk about stuff.
Sorry, the audience just said child of divorce energy.
Oh my god.
It's okay, he's practicing. Also, he is canonically a child to divorce.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yup.
But yeah, they'll they'll go, but on the day that they go, Professor has had a bit of an accident in the ellipsis and has hurt his shoulder. Which he would tell Camille, like, alright, this is really bad timing, but it'll be fine. I already relocated it.
And Camille, as much as he tries to act like a normal person sometimes, is still a shonen protagonist. So he does not see an issue with this. And kind of just, like, after double checking that, yes, Professor is okay, it's properly relocated and such.
Mm-hmm.
If Professor says it's still good to go, then he is more than fine going along with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ah, I knew I could count on you to roll low on con.
Oh no.
Alright.
Also, I do feel when making the next appointment, Camille probably would give inmate a heads up that there is going to be an adult chaperone per se.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is like, hey, this is not gonna be a normal thing. This is, we got somebody else to give you more information.
I think inmates more so surprised that this chaperone is, like, specified to be an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, looks over at looks over at Leo and such. I feel like it's fair to bring up at this point.
Yeah. Luna, come here. Try to get my cat away from my feet so I don't kick her. Come here. Fine, be that way. Anyway.
So, for anyone who doesn't know anything about having a dislocated shoulder, putting it back is the main thing, but it still kind of janks up the whole area, and there's like a major nerve in there, so it hurts like hell. So, with an 8 on his con check, Professor is in a lot of pain, but he is very good at hiding it.
Shakes him.
Yeah.
And for the sake of this FPS, he does manage to get it past Camille.
Yeah.
Because again, Camille's unfortunately a shonen protagonist, so he's more used to people kind of just popping that bitch back into place and moving on than not.
Yeah. And, like, he can probably tell, like, it hurts, and Professor will, like, admit, like, yeah, it hurts, but, like, obviously he's going along like it's fine, so it's fine, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
um,
I think Iggy's jingles got him.
oh, they
Oh,
did.
I heard them.
I thought you were just making jingling sounds.
No, if you hear jingles, that is because I have a new mic and apparently picks up Iggy's jingles a bit more.
Jingle boy.
Oh, jingle boy.
Little jester.
But yeah, I imagine they arrive at the hospital and get themselves checked in and are brought to the room for an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're probably like sat in the room for a little bit, waiting for inmate to arrive. And when they do, they're not alone. At least for the initial they arrive and show up there. Camille, you know Agent Hawthorne.
Mm-hmm.
You probably by now you know his deal.
Yeah. So he kind of just gives a peppy little "this is a child" wave, and hi, Agent Hawthorne.
He gives you like
and hi, Doctor.
Agent Hawthorne does give you like a wave.
It's like a,
This asshole.
this is like a big dude in sunglasses, right?
Yeah, this asshole wears sunglasses indoors.
Professor is just kind of looking between them like, huh?
It's so funny to me because we never, in canon trauma team, we never see this man without his sunglasses. But there is a moment as inmate turns to look to Agent Hawthorne. They tell him something, and then Agent Hawthorne leaves the room and closes the door behind him, leaving the three of you in privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, though,
Mm-hmm.
Professor, you also recognize this doctor.
Oh yeah, that's right. They have met. Yeah, let me think. Yeah, he's probably standing. He just stands up a little straighter and he's like, "Oh, hello. I've met you before. It was Dr. Who?"
Your passive not insight, perception is like a 16?
It perception, you say? That's a
Yeah.
14 for me.
Or 14. It's good enough. You notice right off the bat, as you're trying to dig for a name in your memory, you're probably like also trying to look over this guy for a name tag. He does not have one. The closest thing to an identifier that they are wearing, excuse me, pronouns. That they are wearing is this big red like medical cross. My cat jump scares me. But yeah, no form of name tag. Give me a second. Luna's knocking things over.
Yeah. Yeah, Professor saw inmate during the beginning of Aurelia's case in what was that one called again? Shattered Reflections? Yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Sorry, she had knocked over papers and then decided to sit on them, which was making a really loud crinkling noise. Anyway. This doctor looks at you, Professor, kind of with an even gaze. And they look at you for a moment, and they just go, "Just doctor is fine. You were with Detective Azumi."
Yes. I'm just the professor.
I need to make a funny little history roll.
Yeah, that's right, you do. Professor is just here like, oh, another person who just goes by their title. Cool.
Oh no.
Oh. That's a pretty high roll.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to flavor this.
Is it memory time?
Yeah.
You did say there was the possibility of a certain thing happening.
Yeah. It feels too soon. Fair. Is the thing.
You can you could put it in your pocket.
Yeah. I think what they ended up doing is they kind of pause and stare at you, Professor.
Mm-hmm.
And they just ask you, we haven't met before that, have we?
Before that? Hmm. No, I don't think so.
Hmm.
Maybe you knew a different professor? I'm certainly not the only one who goes by professor. Believe me, every time I go to a university, it gets very confusing.
Mm. Mm. Never
Camille
mind.
kind of snorts in the background.
You were here for, a checkup, Camille?
Uh, yeah, that, and there is actually uh some kind of important news to share.
Mm-hmm. I've been helping with the scientific side of Camille's case, and I have, um, well, we have discovered a few things that uh, he didn't already know, and figured it would be best if we um, shared our information.
Okay, yeah, they have to do this. Inmate kind of glances to you, Camille, as if to ask if, like, he's sure that it's okay that they talk about Camille's case.
Yeah, Camille nods. Like, I'm fine with you two talking about it. Professor would not be here otherwise.
If you're certain.
He nods.
Okay, I think what they end up doing is that they kind of just flip through, excuse me, some pages on their clipboard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before they kind of settle into, like, probably a chair in there.
Mm-hmm.
And they just go, what should I know?
Um, let's see. Professor is going to reach into his pocket and uh, for I think for the sake of like sharing these things, he is actually going to have some printouts. Um, this information instead of just spitting it all out verbally.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, and I'm gonna ask for I don't know what's your highest passive Avi, because any of these could work.
For
For seeing that the professor has forgotten forgotten to use his good shoulder when reaching for his stuff.
well, if we're going by passives,
Uh-huh.
their passive medicine is a 17.
Okay, that's enough. And he's kind of, well, I was gonna say already in doctor mode, but I think he's in doctor mode all the time, honestly. Um,
More or less.
Yeah.
so yeah, the professor forgets that he's trying to hide an injury, and as he's taking out um, a sort of packet of papers from his pocket, um, he does like wince and uh, like, uh, he like ends up doing like a relatively smooth movement, but like his opposite hand like is clenched in a fist.
You're hurt.
Mm.
Oh, excuse me, my throat. You're hurt.
Oh, just a little bit. It's all right.
That's not a little bit.
Neil's gonna be a bit of a snitch if Professor doesn't share in the next 2 seconds.
I just had a bit of a accident with my shoulder. It's no big deal.
To be precise, he dislocated it, but he relocated it already.
I did.
And did you treat... You did not ice it before coming? Nothing to mitigate the pain?
Well, no, I was a bit busy with this.
Mm. I need to look up how to treat a dislocated shoulder.
It's mostly icing it and checking to make sure like it didn't damage the other shit that exists in a shoulder when it got dislocated and relocated. You know,
Mm.
you got your bones, your tendons, your muscles, and all that stuff. But for that, you kind of need to like touch it at least.
Yeah, you see inmate like start to like move forward, like start to like stand up and like move towards you before they're just they kind of just catch themselves and they go, "May I?"
The professor looks at Camille.
It's fine. They really do just want to help. And if they were in the habit of sharing secrets, I would not be sitting here right now.
Fair enough. He'll probably, because the coat is relatively thick, he will kind of painfully shrug out of his a velvet coat. So he's in his shirt sleeves.
Mm-hmm. And if it helps, Camille will probably put his little hand on Professor's uninjured arm.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional support.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have him roll medicine.
Okay.
That was a good roll.
Nice.
Yeah, I would call a 24 a good roll.
With a whiz save of 12, the professor is watching very, very closely, but manages not to flinch or move away.
Alright. How is Professor's shoulder then? Like, is it just a dislocation and like the general pain afterwards?
It's mostly the pain. All of the like stuff is intact. There's no sign of anything tearing, and his reactions don't warrant any like they're not consistent with any sort of nerve damage, and he does seem to have range of motion. So the equipment's fine. It's just really fucking painful. He
Mm-hmm.
needs to, like, ice it and stop moving it. Like, stop using it.
Yeah. Uh, I think what they end up doing, you see this like intense look
Mm-hmm.
as they're examining the injury and trying to get like a good idea of what's going on, and you kind of hear them muttering to themselves, like, okay, there's no tear. He seems to be no extraneous damage. Um, and then they kind of just clear their throat and go, I will get you some ice. Stop moving your arm. I will be right back. And then they're going to leave the room.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, straightforward enough.
They don't tend to mince their words, no.
Oh, that's all right. I can appreciate that.
So, are you doing alright?
Uh, well, it's not like they can discover too much just from looking at my shoulder. Hmm. I mean, if you think it'll be fine, then...
I do generally think that it'll be fine. I mean, they're handling my case.
Right.
But that being said, it does. I guess it depends in the end on what you think. It's your decision.
Mm-hmm. He just kind of, like, uh... he considers, tilts his head, um, he's a little tense, and he runs his hand through his hair. Well, I mean, you know why this. mm, You know why I don't like people knowing. Um, but well, sometimes it's not really avoidable. And, well, there could be some benefit to having a proper trained. I love Crystal, and she knows a lot about medicine, but
I
it's
I
not
mean,
the same.
yeah, and I do feel like at the very least it would take a lot of weight off of their shoulders.
Oh, that's
Um,
true. All right. I. Hmm. I won't. I'll tell him anything he needs to know and let him discover what he may, but um, I'm gonna wait until um, gonna hold off on sort of giving him the whole story for now.
mhm.
All right.
I mean, that's kind of what I did. Um,
Hmm.
and it's been working out pretty well so far, but
Hmm.
um, you don't have to come to a decision now. You can watch how things go,
Right.
and then decide from there.
Yeah. I can do that. Thank you, dear.
It's no problem.
I love it when my character exits the scene. Alright, they come back.
Uh-huh.
They were giving you an ice pack. One of those like figuring how to describe them because I am so used to just plastic bag with ice in it.
Ah.
But it's like it is one of those ones that I can like comfortably rest over the shoulder.
Okay, yeah.
Um, they hand you that.
Maybe one of the chemical cold packs, because they
Yeah.
generally keep kind of jelly.
Yeah. One of those.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Completely blanked.
Hey, that's alright.
We're so valid.
But as they sit back down, they say, if you'd like, after this I could prescribe you some form of painkiller.
He tilts his head a little bit. That may be, difficult. I don't react normally to, the majority of painkillers. They usually don't, work, or only work for a very short time, so I usually don't bother.
Do you want to roll insight?
Yeah. Oh, okay. That is, your insight is, yes, that's what I thought it was. Alright, that's a 21. Total.
Professor, you are very quickly putting together that this doctor is very, very emotional. They just suck ass at expressing it.
Uh-huh.
There's like a twitch of the brow, and like something in you just knows that right now their internal dialogue is something along the lines of, "The fuck you mean you don't bother? You're in pain?" Hello.
He does kind of break into like a sheepish grin.
Standard dosage does not affect you, you mean to say?
Essentially, yes. It's, my body just goes through it way too quickly. Just takes it right out of the system.
As you can see, I'm not exactly the only weirdo.
With all due respect, you did not know. You have not been at my last place of work.
What was that?
With all due respect, Camille, you have not been to my previous place of work.
That raises a lot of questions.
Sounds fun.
Do we want to know?
They kind of give you this expression.
Flatline. Eh.
Thank you. Extremely helpful.
Before they just go, I'm certain I can put something together regardless for your accommodations, at least in regards to some form of medication that can reduce pain.
Well, if you'd like to try, uh, hmm. I only ask that you, let me know what's in whatever, mm, whatever you try. There are certain things that I'm sensitive to.
They open their mouth, think better of it, and they say, we can try figuring the exact specifics later. And kind of glance to Camille.
Right.
Camille raises a brow.
Yeah. Professor's like, yeah, no, we can skip to, we can do the, we can talk about Camille's stuff.
Yeah. He
It's just that if you ask inmate, they will just fully info dump on everything they know about the chemicals and painkillers.
very fair.
Yeah. Professor knows one thing that he's supposed to avoid that sometimes comes up in painkillers, but he doesn't want to say what it is.
Fair enough.
I don't think he's told anyone else, actually, so
Yeah.
that wasn't on his info sheet that he gave the others.
Yeah, I'm making an educated guess that this is all new to Camille. He just doesn't really want to interrupt,
The fact that
when...
he's sensitive to a specific thing, yes. The fact that painkillers don't really work on him, that was in the paper.
Okay, cool. It has been a long day.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't expect you to have reviewed that for this.
Um. Sorry, I don't know why my brain latched onto this. But for some reason, I just remembered from the last time Inmate and Camille interacted on screen, so to speak. Inmate did find out that Camille was calcium deficient.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out, would they have like prescribed like some form of like
Vitamins.
yeah, some form of vitamins or like calcium supplement.
Uh, it's probably fair to say yes.
Probably.
Since I don't necessarily think that Camille would have any issues with getting calcium gummies. Other than his pride being wounded, of course, but that's normal.
In that case, do you just want to like jump right into getting them back up to on the same page? And then we can worry about doing like a physical and everything later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Right.
So Professor has got his sheaf papers, and he'll pass them over to inmate. They're just sort of some. It's nicely organized. It's sort of a formal write up of a few findings about Camille. in, fairly technical, sort of, you know, jargon, and like it's obvious that the professor knows what he's talking about. He's calling things by their formal names and using medical terms. He may not be a medical doctor, but he's the title professor is not superfluous. Um, but he's got notes like the fact that there's a few sort of things before I get to like the important like big points. But like there's notes that Camille registers as a poisonous creature. Um, uh,
And they do have evidence towards that now.
yeah, that's the next thing he mentions. Um, when a vampire ingested his blood, it exploded. Um, he also suspects he knows why it did that, which we'll get to. Things that inmate probably knows, like the blood is slightly iridescent. Um, and yeah, here we go. The rest of this is pretty important. I think this is the stuff that they learned that inmate wouldn't know. Um,
Mhm.
he This is kind of a detail on its own, which is an MRI shows internal scarring. Um, Camille has the brain of, I think now an 18-year-old, and the appropriate nervous system just severely compacted. Um,
Yeah, I think
I think inmate
19.
oh, 19 now. Okay.
Yeah.
I think inmate did find that out just when they were checking on the concussion.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he got
it may-
I think he got part of that
Mhm.
because Camille kind of walked into that knowing some of that. Um,
Mhm.
His DNA is unstable, currently semi stable, but easily mutable. Some mutations are already apparent in it, um, as compared to. Does he know they're twins? Because what I have in my notes is compared to twin brother. Um,
Um,
But Professor would definitely look to Camille before, like, saying that.
yeah, I do think Camille is fine with sharing that.
Okay. Uh, yeah, some mutations already apparent. Compared DNA to twin brother. Um, recommend avoiding X-rays. Uh, and my note just cut off there. All right, and I guess, and other radiation, bullshit. Other mutagenic materials. Um, let's see. He knows about the inspiration deficiency, weak immune system, coconut allergy. Uh, okay. Things. Camille's blood. In Camille's blood, there are compounds that should not exist in blood. These may account for him being poisonous, based on what happened to the vampire and the tests on Camille's blood. Um, it acts a bit like uh, a solution that he'll get into, at least if ingested. His blood killed some plants, resulting in a smell like that of the of solution M. Um, Camille has severely increased apoptosis, cell turnover, possibly excluding the nerve cells, which seem to develop as normally as they can given the circumstances. But the DNA degeneration is prevented by extremely lengthened telomeres. Although the rapid apoptosis does increase a general risk of mutation. Um, as for the lengthened telomeres, uh, these these are caps of basically nonsense data at the end of chromosomes and strings of DNA that keep it from, when it replicates, creating new cells, uh, prevents it from basically chopping off raw, like actual data at the end. Instead, if it accidentally chops off a few notes, it's just this nonsense telomere data. Um, they reduce damage to the DNA via transcription and replication over time, which would which most people experience as aging. Camille does not age physically aside from his brain and cannot age, and seems to be functionally immortal, unable to die of old age, that is. Alright, I'm jumping around slightly, so there's. I said that. Okay. We know that the poison was a liquid, ingested, and made to be untraceable, and known to be lethal in others. And known to induce apoptosis as it did in Camille. So that is a normal function of the poison. One component of the poison is known, a highly secret solution M, known to cause extreme mutations in animals from any exposure. It too is iridescent, and tends to be lethal to humanoids, especially toons, acting a bit like dip in some circumstances. They've been able to test some solution M in plant and animal matter. It often kills and destroys the matter, but sometimes it mutates it, and rarer still, it brings dead material back to life, albeit mutated. It has saved one toon's life, to their knowledge, mutating them considerably but healing a fatal wound. That I don't know if Camille knew before, but Professor will say it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's getting into, Tome's case and that whole bullshit. But it's also relevant to this case, so he is saying that part. And that's the majority of the notes that I had written down that I remembered. Is there anything I'm missing, do you think, Fletch, that Professor should provide on his end?
I think the biggest bit is is all the stuff with the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think I don't think I remember doing anything else in regards to the specifics of how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think otherwise the only thing is the sort of uh temporary antidote,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I don't think inmate was told about that.
Right.
Which was that? Sorry, I was trying to look for something.
Temporary antidote.
Mmm.
Yeah, so Professor would mention what he knows about that, the fact that it's made from a plant possibly related to Solution M, um, and hence possibly why it works the way it does, and that it sort of replicates a reversal, um, where there's a great big um, cellular chemical reaction, uh, you know, biochemical, that temporarily restores, restores. It makes Camille into the form that he should be at his age. So that's evidence that some part of his DNA still recognizes that that's the shape he should be in. Otherwise, essentially, this wouldn't, like, be able to happen. Which is good. That's good for them.
Yeah.
If there's anything else Camille would like to add about how it works, because he, as I understand it, has done some independent study.
I don't think he would know the specifics just yet, because that would involve another character who is stuck in the time vortex, in terms of game planning.
Understandable.
I need to stress, not the actual time vortex.
Yeah.
The rest in fucking pieces.
I
think poison.
I think Professor would also mention, like, we have a possible lead, detective-wise, on who may have either made or worked with somebody who made the poison itself, but it's gonna take a while.
Yeah, so, I think the most that Camille could share is mainly that, it seems to mostly just last a few hours, and both times when he took it, he was, sick beforehand. Um,
I need you to imagine inmate furiously scribbling all of this down with the same expression they've had this entire time.
I love him so much, Avi.
Like...
Did you mean sick beforehand or sick afterwards?
He was sick beforehand, and he continued to be sick afterwards. 'Cause the first time they accidentally stumbled into it because
I remember that one.
because they made tea with it. Because the twins get a little bit stupid when they're left alone.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. It's fine.
I'm killing an audience member for the pun they just made.
Hee hee.
Anyway.
Yes, I'd say he would mention that it didn't seem to work any longer than a few hours, and the effects of growing and shrinking again were very similar to how it was the first time it happened.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm clarifying for the record, I am not a doctor.
Yeah.
But I could have sworn there was, like, a correlation between the weakened immune system, like, there was, like, an actual, like, reasoning for it, like, the weakened immune system and the antidote working.
Yeah, it is because, apoptosis can be triggered by the immune system.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a tie to the immune system. I believe, I forget the exact thing I had of it because it was years ago.
I know there are specific cells within the immune system that trigger apoptosis.
Yeah. So I think if I remember correctly, the reason why it has to be sick for it to work is because the immune system is already kind of active during that time.
That would make sense. It would have more
so
of those cells running around.
Yeah, so it's much easier for it to
do its thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, in that case, I think Inmate would say that out loud. I think they say, there is, poison does trigger apoptosis, it would make sense that the reason this temporary antidote only worked ill because of your immune system.
Oh, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
By the way, also for the record, I went looking through our ancient DMs,
Yeah.
all the way back to 2022,
Woohoo.
to look for the notes you gave me, Fletch, before we did the first Inmate and Camille FPS.
Yeah.
There's something on here that is killing me all over again.
Is it the thing which we have to give an additional warning for?
It is. I am so sorry. Anyway.
It's extremely cursed.
The reason for
but
the
there's
calcium deficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's fine, don't worry about it.
Following off of that, I think Inmate will share, what they managed to find out, specifically, of course, the calcium deficiency, and clarifying that, because of the way, Camille's nervous system is, some of the way he responds to stimulus does not correspond to his body's current size. You know that the way doctors test reactions,
reflexes and stuff, yeah.
Reflexes and stuff. I believe it was that Camille has a more intense reflex because of it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Which may or may not be scientifically grounded, but it's fine.
Yeah.
We can go with it. It might mean that he has more likelihood of straining himself.
Yeah.
And in that same vein, Inmate does bring up that one of the things they found during their initial tests. God, I'm so good with words right now.
You're fine.
Was that Camille has a heart murmur. If I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very much encouraged that Camille try to keep like physical, like intense physical stress to a minimum because of it.
Professor absolutely gives Camille a look at that, like, really?
Camille, is very pointedly looking away.
You have two adults looking directly at you.
I mean, it's not like I'm not going to run away from immediate danger.
Consider use your skateboard more.
Yeah, okay.
Alright.
You are my patient. I'd rather you be at top health. Even in more dangerous situations. I understand you're a detective, but your health should also come first.
Yeah, I know. He is a little pouty.
Professor can't get on his case too much. They're both too nosy for their own good, including their physical well-being.
Yeah. I did actually forget about the heart murmur, but it does. I do remember why I put it in there, because there's a lot of strain on that poor thing.
God. Good lord.
Yeah, because in canon, whenever, like in actual Detective Conan canon, whenever he starts to transform again, he like clutches his chest and feels like he's having a heart attack, which he may very well be, but no one's ever looked at him during that, so you know.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so if I remember old Me's thoughts correctly, he has a slight heart murmur because that can happen after intense stress is put on it, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right. He's got a heart something, that's for sure.
He does have a heart something.
Big ol' heart.
He has a proportionately sized heart. Otherwise, it would be very bad.
God, good lord. I was making a joke about how caring he is.
There.
I feel like I got completely
It's okay, I got it.
Okay, I get it now.
Fletch is just in the, like, keep the lore straight, we're pretty sure we're mostly following biology sort of mode.
Trying to remember what the fuck I decided in terms of Camille's fictional biology while not having any sort of biology degree.
I think it would also be really, really funny if Inmate brought up some of the more mundane things, like
Like, and how is your allergy doing?
yeah, your allergies.
It would be funny.
Like the first time Inmate checked up on Camille, he was sleep deprived. Um. So it's like a matter of like just kind of looking Camille over and it's like, are you as sleep deprived as you were? No, good. Keep it that way.
He is very thankfully not. Like, he does still have the occasional sleep issue, which he would be relatively open with Inmate about. But that's less because of, like, any sort of paranoia or the like, and just, the 19-year-old brain needs 8 hours of sleep. The 6-year-old body needs 10 to 11 hours of sleep. So, there's a little bit of a desync between his nervous system and his actual body, which can occasionally cause sleep issues, but it's normally not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know if they would go as far as to suggest sleep and medication in that case.
Like, I feel like like an over-the-counter bottle of melatonin is probably enough for if it gets bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like as needed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. In that case, I probably do mention, like, yeah, if you need a regular ass melatonin, it's fine. Um. Trying to think. I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Was there anything like about his bones? Like like some of the basic information we know is from inmate, which is like he is has the body of a 6-year-old, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
He. I'm trying to figure out how inmate would put this into words. Because they are, like, very much concerned by the fact that, using the if the poison trigger mass apoptosis and the antidote is also similarly apoptosis.
yeah,
Sorry, I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Um, that would be causing some strain on Camille's heart,
yeah.
and I'm trying to figure out how they would put this into words. I think they might want to check on that just in case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they can indeed check on it.
Mm-hmm.
Get your stethoscope.
Yeah, get a stethoscope. Fuck it. Medicine check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because inmate does know that, from context, that Camille has used it a couple times,
Yeah.
at the very least.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Good job, doctor.
Oh boy. Okay.
They're good at one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can tell that the slight heart murmur is still there. Though thankfully it seems like the two return trips that he's made, so to speak, hasn't really changed it for the better or for the worse.
Mm. If you do. If you do intend using more of this antidote, I would highly suggest that you keep on the strain on your heart.
Yeah, will do. It's probably not too much of a concern, since it's really, really hard to get your hands on, apparently.
Your heart?
The antidote.
I mean, that too.
I mean, yeah, I would hope that. I would hope so, yes. You're having fun there.
Yeah, that was partially me, like, it wasn't clicking for me. And then, like, it took me a hot second to, like, realize what you were talking about. But it was really funny if I just made that in character for inmate, so I did.
Yes!
Yeah. It feels extremely in character for it. I love them so much.
I love inmate. They're so funny without even intending to be.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
All right.
Is there anything else or that we need Camille for, or?
I don't think so. I mean, the only thing I could think of is like, Professor would suggest that what we know about the solution M, it is probably the primary agent in the poison, since what it does on its own is very similar to what it does, what the poison has done to people. Excepting that Camille would be one of the rare cases where the solution doesn't kill a humanoid, instead changes it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a way to phase now this solution. I believe I could take a closer look at it and see.
Could you say that again louder?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Inmate is so good.
It's okay.
It's okay. They're soft-spoken.
Yeah.
If we could find a sample of this solution M, I'm certain I could take a closer look at it and see if I can find which components in it caused the mutation, or at the very least triggered the apoptosis.
Professor and Camille probably glance at each other.
Yeah.
It's,
Is that... Sure is.
Yeah.
it's a very rare and controlled substance because of what it does. The one source I know of allowed me a small sample to work with, but only under direct supervision and under the caveat that I destroy it and my the samples it was applied to afterwards. It's that dangerous.
Grabs the inmate. And they just gave me like so much at once. I need to like figure out what to start with.
Where?
Okay. Hi Luna. You are making so much noise right now.
Because it's baby time.
I think what they out of character inmate is like a little upset.
Yeah.
That this specific solution is so controlled.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because of how dangerous it is, right? And it's like they want to get their hands on it so that they can help Camille, because if they know what one of the components is, that's amazing. But given their situation, they would have such a harder time getting permission to like even look at it.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think there's just like this general quiet as inmate like kind of just thinks to themselves.
Camille, I could, I could give the doctor, a redacted form of the notes I took on the solution because I did run very thorough tests and some of the information I gathered might be helpful. Redacted only because, well, because I've made notes that would not be relevant to your case, that are confidential. And it's not like what I've found that would be useful would be helpful in replicating it, replicating the solution itself anyway.
Right. I guess as long as you have permission to share that?
I don't. I'll have to ask for that. I only had permission to share it with you, I'm pretty sure. But I'll ask, and I imagine that with some, they'll probably want to help me in, probably want to see, my redactions, but otherwise, I expect that they'll probably allow some of my notes to be shared, to help you.
Alright. I think that's fine then. Though, internally, he's making a little remark about, damn, Tom won't give him the full notes. Messed up.
Yeah, no, it's mostly like the parts where like the professor has made theories about you know, methods themselves and about you know, Sebi's case in light
Yeah.
of the notes. It's like, well, she's not your patient, so we're gonna not include those.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camille's just a little nosy bastard, but he'll live.
Yeah, yeah. Professor, I think, shared Camille a version of the notes. Like one animus? Like not this last one, but the one before.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So it's fine.
So yeah, Professor will like basically like go back and get Tome's permission if he can, and after that he can send, or probably honestly probably personally deliver, a a set of notes that inmate can have. So, you know, he can't get started on it right away, but this is something he may, this is information he may be allowed to get.
It's not the actual solution, but they'll make do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, inmate. Tome doesn't trust doctors, and also he's Tome.
Yeah, like the fact that Professor got permission to do anything was humongous. And they're brothers now?
Yeah.
uh,
Like, they're brothers, and it's basically nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if that is the case, I could probably have your boy make an exit now, if you're all good with that.
I think so.
Oh,
hmm Yeah. So we're not running out on inmate pre-checkup. It's Would it be safe to say that they kind of move into the checkup section before Camille kind of gets like a text?
yeah. Camille can get like a really quick checkup, make sure everything's fine or as fine as he can be for his condition.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He's
hmm?
got the cleanest bill of health he can currently have.
Yeah, for real. Um, I'm trying to think if inmate would anything would in this process would proc as, oh, inmate's like really good at this.
Hmm. Hmm. It is a regular checkup, so I don't know that the professor
Mm-hmm.
would notice anything from that. He is already somewhat like fairly impressed on the connections that inmate has made with the information given.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
At least
All
there's
right.
that.
Yeah. Then in that case, Camille's probably like in the wrap-up sections, before he gets a text and grumbles looking at it like, I gotta go. Some of the kids are arguing about soccer again.
All right.
And he is running on out.
Mm-hmm.
Inmate kind of just lifts a hand in a wave goodbye.
He gives inmate a quick wave, and you can see him furiously texting as he rushes out. Like, this is why you agree on the rules of a game before you start playing it. He's explained it so many times now, and yet.
Well, Doctor,
And
you're
now,
quite good.
hmm?
Professor just, well, Doctor, you're quite good.
I am.
Thanks for the ice.
There's no need to think. I'm only doing what I'm meant to do.
Hmm. He does sort of tilt his head a little bit. You always wanted to be a doctor?
That's hard to say. I. Hmm. You want to roll insight?
Yeah. Professor, for God's sake. It's a nat 1.
Roll again.
Okay. Alright, that's better. It's a 17 on the die, which means, I think that's a 21. Yeah, that's a 21.
Okay. So, hmm. How should I put it? inmate saying something along the lines of, that's hard to say, but I know that is what I am. Which is a very, particularly strange way of wording that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You notice that there is, like, subtle crease in their brow. Like they're trying to think. And I actually think a 21 might be enough to put together that look of that current look they have
Is
is
trying to remember something?
trying to remember something, but they can't.
Huh. You can't remember? You can't be that old.
They shake their head.
Did you hit your head? I mean, I assume you wouldn't be practicing if you had, like, a concussion, so it's not that.
No. It's not. I'm very tempted to ask you to roll this intelligence check.
I can roll an intelligence check if you want.
Yeah, please do. Let's see.
Okay, let's see. I think my modifier is a 0, but I got a 15, so that's okay.
Okay, 15. I'm trying to slide like two pieces together for the professor. Inmate just admitted that they can't remember if they've always wanted to be a doctor.
Yes.
You also know that inmate does not have anything identifying them.
Yeah, and they didn't give a name.
And they didn't give a name.
When directly prompted.
Yes.
Huh. Have you got a memory problem? Like, amnesia or something?
Yeah.
Oh. But you remember... You know how to... I mean, did you get all of your medical training after you got amnesia? Or do you remember how to do all of this from before?
I was not trained after.
Huh.
Being a doctor is all I know.
Well, maybe you were meant to be a doctor, if that's the one thing you remember. Seems like it may have been at the core of your being. Who's that agent fellow? I haven't seen him around. Well, not that I've been around the hospital, but... Not much.
He kind of glance towards the door before they kind of awkwardly look towards their clipboard and make to like write a couple of notes down. Um and they say, Agent Hawthorne is my warden.
Warden? Warden. Are you... Usually that implies, imprisonment? Of a sort? Is the hospital like... Are you like a prisoner and they're making you do... I'm pretty sure that's... No, they don't have that here. That's gotta be against some sort of... convention. Code of ethics. He basically asked, like, is the hospital making you do this? Because he's pretty sure that's a war crime if you're a prisoner.
No.
Like,
I think the way inmate
Or a
answers
crime,
is
at
that
least.
there is a very uncomfortable pause before they say, I am not a prisoner. The hospital. No.
say that last bit again?
I'm not a prisoner of the hospital. No.
Of the hospital. Alright. Well, that's good. That means I don't have to get angry at the administration here. What?
But I am a prisoner, technically speaking.
Huh. Of what? Of who?
I have... Actually, let me rephrase that. Agent Hawthorne has taken the liberty of arranging a deal with the Faruma government. I perform as a doctor, and every successful operation reduces my sentence.
Well, you're a pretty good doctor, and you've been seeing Camille for at least that long. You must have a pretty long sentence.
I have to remember what the exact number was. Hang on. Give me a second.
If I remember correctly, it was 200 years or so.
I think it was 250. Give me a second.
Oh shit. Professor Voice, like, I'm pretty sure you would have had, like, at least 5, like, if we're going with the surgery definition of operations, you would have had, like, probably at least 5 in the last, probably way more than that in the past, like, year or so. And if your sentence is longer than 5 years, that's significant. Like, that's already...
I'm just gonna continue writing off that, like, 21 in insight. They are explicitly uncomfortable. But, they say, when I first started, my sentence was 250 years.
That's long. Uh, why? Unfortunately, Professor is very nosy, and the fact that despite his, uh, y- many complaints with the system and law and all that junk, um, this still raises a red flag for, oh no, should I be telling this person my medical details?
You want to know what's even wilder?
Yeah.
Inmate is pretty visibly a human.
Yeah, he did say Furuma.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Professor understands that this is he he understands that this is not, uh 200 years for an elf. This is one of those, like, well, it's not exactly a life sentence, but it's enough years that it's gonna be, sort of deals, which exist.
Mm. I think. I think when inmate ends up saying, because professor's just probably, I assume, is going to keep pressing.
Probably.
Yeah. um. Um. Inmate just clears their throat and they say, "Are you by any chance familiar with the incident at Rutherford University, give or take a decade ago?"
Should I roll history?
If you want to.
Okay. Because I know he wasn't around for that, um, but he's been around long enough that he can, he's gotten some history by osmosis and actually reading history and all that junk. Okay, history. My modifier is pretty good. That is actually, it's very good. That's a total of 22.
Oh, that's really good. Oh god.
Well, like he said, he does stick his nose into all sorts of different deals and find shit out.
I feel like this might have been something you probably heard offhand like once and
Uh-huh.
then decided to look into because it's like, oh, what's that?
Yeah. That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah. Um, the incident, uh, the Rutherford University incident, that inmate is referring to, this doctor is referring to,
Mm-hmm.
is an incident. It's a huge tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, there's still some dark spots in what the public knows.
Mm-hmm.
But all they know is that there was some sort of, I guess you could say, outbreak
Mm-hmm.
contained to the university.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as far as the public is aware, nobody survived.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this Rutherford University is a university in Faruma.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a very strong virology, or they had a very strong virology
Program.
department.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Program.
Mm.
Uh, but according to case records, nobody survived except one person.
Mm.
A 16-year-old whose name was not disclosed.
Mm. Boy. Man. Professor takes a moment to think, but quickly remembers and puts pieces together. Yes, I do remember that you're the one who survived.
And they nod. It's a very slow nod.
Gosh, that's terrible. Why? Are you a suspect or something?
In the law's eyes, no. I was found guilty of terrorism.
Huh. And what about you? Do you feel guilty? I try not to put too much stock in the law, personally. It has its uses, but it also has many flaws.
By now, they've stopped writing it into their clipboard, but they are not making eye contact with you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And they just say, I don't know.
Right, amnesia. In some places, that should have. Well, maybe not exonerated you exactly, but prevented you from, being held guilty and accountable for that. Legally. That's really unjust.
I'm going to casually insult the background. Oh, what the fuck? a I think what they end up saying is it is only unjust if I am not guilty.
Well... I mean, I disagree, but alright.
I do not have the memory to argue. As far as the Veruman government is concerned, I did kill those people.
That's hogwash.
And they do kind of lift their head at that.
That's total rubbish. They can't make... I mean, even if they were able to prove a mens rea, an actus rea, a means of being able to do it, then, which I don't know that they were able to do, even if they were able to do that, they still need a mens rea, they still need a motive, and intention. That's... If they can't prove that, they have no case. I mean, the damn thing's already happened, but they should have had no case. They just wanted to blame somebody. I mean, I've seen this shit before. There's one person left, and they need somebody. They want to feel like they've done something to prevent this from happening again, to quell people's fears and anxieties and sorrows. And the easiest way to do that is to find a scapegoat and do something terrible to them. This is just poppycock. Shout out to the podcast I've been listening to for legal terms. I did not know what mens rea and actus rea meant before I started listening to Court Appointed. Shout out to them.
I also have, no idea what those means, but I'm picking up on context clues.
Yeah, I tried to use a few other words around it. You know, actus rea, it's like, you have to prove that the action that they were able to do it, were they at least, if they weren't in the country at the time and you can prove that, then they don't have that. And then mens rea is literally, it's like the mental reason. Like, okay, so I was there, but why would I do X? Motive and intention and reason for doing something. Motive, all that bullshit.
Yeah, okay. Um, I'm trying to figure out inmate, uh, what inmate wants to say,
Uh-huh.
but, every time I'm, like, poke them, they're just their internal dialogue, which they cannot outwardly express because they're
Yeah.
so neurodivergent,
Uh-huh.
um, is them just kind of, like, ugly sobbing.
Aww. Aww.
Um, but, I think I think what they're gonna end up doing is that they kind of, like, reach a hand into one pocket of their lab coat,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and look back down into their clipboard, and they're just kind of quiet
Mm-hmm.
for a long moment.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And they just say, I see why Camille trusts you.
Uh, he'd probably like leaned forward like uh in his uh very uh you know passionate speech, and like he leans back a little bit and just like, yeah, that I if he knows, he probably feels similar, I have to imagine.
And inmate nods, and they say, he was equally determined to find the truth of my case just as much as I was willing to be his doctor.
Hmm. Yeah, that sounds right. He's a good kid.
I don't remember much before that day.
Hmm.
Now, and they kind of, their brow kind of furrows again, like they're trying to focus on something,
Mm-hmm.
but the edges of whatever this memory is very hazy.
Mm-hmm.
But they say, I I know, I remember now. I had been working at the university,
Hmm.
but back then, the only thing I remember was waking up and they kind of trail off.
I'm waking up, surrounded by everything else that happened there.
They nod.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's terrible for anyone to go through. Are you all right?
As well as I can be.
Mm.
All that matters is that I can practice medicine and help people.
Mm-hmm.
Per the terms of the agreement with the Faruman government, I'm not allowed off the hospital premises unless I am accompanied by Agent Hawthorne.
Mm.
Unless, unless it is under circumstances involving my profession.
Mm.
But I am led to believe that Agent Hawthorne has been stretching the term of what might be considered circumstances related to my profession.
Well, good on him for that, then. You've been dealt a terrible hand, but you seem to be playing your cards right so far.
And they just sort of nod.
Mm-hmm. Professor sort of takes a breath and then he remembers this time to use his good hand, puts his hand to his forehead, and he's just like, well, this is extremely frustrating.
I think several individuals would agree with you.
Hmm. I hate to see somebody imprisoned, limited, kept on a leash. Especially unjustly.
God, I am actually really glad I got inmate different stims than what they had before.
Oh, yeah?
Cause whenever, whenever they needed to, to stim, before they had what they have now, which is in their pockets, a little, textured plush that they kind of, squeeze and mess with.
No.
for that, they would scratch at their wrists.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a rough one.
Mm.
But he is, like, agitatedly stimming with this plushie, probably.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, plushes that have, like, different fabrics and materials.
Yeah.
You might hear just, like, very slight crinkling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, uh, don't let me stress you out more about it than you need to be.
Mm.
Well, let's, how to put this? Camille, and your agent are probably interested, and, well, possibly you, given your disposition, are probably more interested in doing things possibly trying to get out of this the legal way. But I will let you know that I am pretty good at getting people out of situations, breaking out of prisons and the like.
Ooh. You see them, you see them visibly tense. When you say breaking out.
Mm-hmm. And he does kind of stop at that. As I thought, that's not the way you'd like to go about things. Well,
If they considered me a fugitive, I would not be allowed to practice medicine. I would not be able to be a doctor.
It means everything to you, doesn't it?
It's all I am.
Well, you make a very good point. I will offer the possibility of relocating you far enough away that nobody will know, but only if you're desperate enough for it.
I cannot forsake my patients.
All right.
What kind of doctor would I be if I did that?
Well, not as good a one as you are, evidently. You have very great integrity.
Avi feels so bad. Because Professor keeps, like, complimenting inmate.
Uh,
An inmate is just standing there.
uh.
They do not know how to take compliments.
That's okay. Professor's used to giving compliments to people who don't know how to react to them.
Like, with them, it's very obvious.
Uh-huh.
Cause like,
They just don't react. Like, they're just like,
pretty much don't react. Yeah. Like, I need to emphasize, there's a portion in trauma team where you finish up one of the surgeries, and in the background noise you can hear one of the assistant nurses calling inmate hot,
Uh-huh.
and they don't respond to it at all.
Huh.
No, they call them handsome.
Okay.
It's just like, all right.
Just sort of like stands there. Well, that is a thing that you said. Now let's get on to what we were doing.
Yeah, for real. They're just like, huh? Okay.
Alright, well, I can't help you in that regard then, since that's not a path you want to take, but, I can help you with the, legal angle as much as I'm able.
I would not stop. Don't give me a second. God damn it.
Kitty crimes, possibly.
Sorry, Luna was trying to kill a bug.
No. On the hunt.
Yeah, anyway.
Mm.
I think I lost track of what they were saying. I think it was something along the lines of, I would not stop you.
Hmm. Alright. Not exactly, enthusiastic consent, but sure.
Listen, man. I can't say anything incriminating.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Alright. Well, perhaps we can take the spotlight off of you for now. I think you're, not comfortable in it.
Doctor who has a 0 in charisma. I think they kind of just nod, and you see them, like, readjust themselves, like, okay, I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah, he's basically saying, like, alright, I'm done, we can change the subject now, it's okay.
And I think what they end up saying is, how is your shoulder?
Well, the ice has helped. It's, well, it still hurts a lot. I mean, no more than a dislocated shoulder usually does, but, you know, usually it hurts a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry. so sorry. This character is so blunt. It's hard for me to play them straight. Um, um, I think words. You mentioned you had a adverse reactions to certain
Yes.
painkillers.
Yes. One in particular.
And they kind of tilt their head, like, go on.
Let me see. Let me see if he's willing to mention it. What should I roll? Maybe a whiz save?
If you want to roll insight to see how much you should trust this doctor too. Either works.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do the insight, because at least I have a modifier for that. Wow. Okay. Well, I rolled good anyway, so that's good. That's, what, 23? Yeah.
Good rolls the FPS.
Yeah. So he takes it, he gives the doctor a good look and, goes over the things that they've said and the things they've been talking about. And, just kind of takes a deep breath and is like, alright, it's, salicylic acid, aspirin. It's poisonous. Very. To me.
This is a component that's used a lot in painkillers, right?
Yeah, it's not like the biggest one, but it's like top 5, top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like painkillers and like mostly it's used a lot for heart stuff, which is actually why Professor can't take it, is because his heart situation is not normal.
Okay, no, that does make sense, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, inmate does not know about that.
No, doesn't know about that, but the professor has said it's poisonous to me, so that's,
Mm-hmm.
he may have an allergy to it. That might be a really weird way of saying he's allergic to it.
Might have an allergy, might have some underlying heart condition.
Yeah. Something that makes him averse to it. But, like, there are conditions that make people averse to it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe it.
I think it's mostly in kids, though, which is, but whatever.
Yeah. There is that, like, kind of, like, crease in their brow again, where they're, like, kind of confused, but you can tell they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The gears are turning. Before they remember that they're in the presence of someone else. I'm gonna say, that is a very common component in painkillers, but I believe I might be able to. Guess Luna. Hi. Okay. You wanted the toy. Okay. She reached for a toy that was like right next to my foot and touched me, and I was like, whoa. Anyway.
Might be able to.
I might be able to find something that may be suitable, at least for the time being.
Well, you're welcome to try. I'm willing to try something.
Wait here. And they're going to leave you alone in the room again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. He doesn't go to the doctor a lot, but he does know how this works. um,
How is the professor feeling about all of this?
like tense, but like with Camille and inmate, they're both very logical people who are appealing to his logic. Where it's kind of hard for him to come up with convincing enough arguments to himself for, not sharing certain things. Like, he definitely had to roll to decide that he would tell him about aspirin, but he's trying to kind of be better about this while still being careful.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, like, there's a very solid level, like, baseline level of, like, stressed out that he's experiencing. But he's not, like, he's not panicking, and, he's not, like, I mean, he's not gotten to the point of, like, doing doing many, nervous ticks, just sort of the occasional, like, oh boy, just sort of, this is a stressful situation for him.
Yeah.
But he's managing it decently well right now.
Yeah.
And he's kind of curious to see. That's part of it. Curiosity does sometimes win out. Curious to see what they'll come up with.
I am going to roll something on inmate's end to see how long it takes. The answer is not fucking long at all. It's a few minutes, tops.
Oh my god. I think when inmate comes in, like, professor is like starting to, like, slouch and put his head on his hat on, like, over his face to take a nap, and then he sits up like, oh shit. Did you forget something?
No, I didn't mean to startle you.
That's alright.
I believe I might have something that may suffice, at least for the time being.
Oh, already?
They're gonna hand you a medication. Painkillers without the component that it's poisonous to
Yeah. He looks it over, gives it a sniff, taste it briefly, and then he'll, not immediately sensing poison, he'll take it.
just a tiny bit of relief as Professor accepts it.
Yeah. He's a little paranoid, and he just told this person what's poisonous to him. He gotta check. Um, but yeah, he's just like, I mean, he takes the thing and then, like, just kind of, like, waits a minute and then, he probably prods at his shoulder again because, like, well, that's that's the place where he's experiencing the most pain. So,
Don't touch it!
Yeah, no, he shouldn't.
He's just like, don't do that.
He kind of makes a face but puts his hand down. A very tiny, like, face of, like, don't tell me what to do. But he obeys.
Stern doctorly disapproval.
Yes. But, like, he does kind of, like, he moves it a little bit, and, like, he really shouldn't, but he does, and he's just like, wait, what? he actually, like, once he realizes, like, what's happening, he actually can't help it. He does, like, prod at it a little more, and, like, he just sort of, like, looks between his shoulder and inmate, like,
Well,
it
it does take...
Oh, yeah, go on.
It does take time for the painkillers to set in.
Well, they've already done so, and there's no... This doesn't... It doesn't... It worked? It doesn't hurt? I don't... That... I'm just flabbergasted. He is like completely and utterly like confused and incredulous and surprised that, like, this really worked and, like, is still working, like, as time continues to pass. How did you... This... I've never... Or at least not since... And you only... What the hells? You're really good. And really fast.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Oh, God.
Honestly, like, it probably takes, like, inmate, like, telling him again, like, to stop touching his shoulder for him to stop doing it. Because he's just... Go on.
It's like just because you can't feel the pain doesn't mean it hasn't like completely healed yet, you know?
Yeah, no, he knows that. He's just like, no, this is, like, am I... He's like, this can't be right. Like,
Stop messing with it.
yeah. You know, it's like, if I do it again, will it feel different this time? Like, no.
Stop. I think he actually does, like, there's probably like a moment in which like Professor reaches up a hand again and Inmate just kind of just pushes it back down. Like, stop that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he again sort of gives him the sort of obstinate face, but does put his hand down. Actually sticks it in his pocket so that he doesn't.
Oh my god.
But yeah, he's just like, this, how you just put something together in a few minutes, and I've been trying to, granted I'm not a pharmacist, but I mean, I know my own biology. I've been trying to formulate something for ages, for longer than you've been alive, certainly. What? Damn. It literally doesn't hurt. I've never got anything to work that good.
I love what Inmate just handed me, because I love them so much. If they tried to explain this, they couldn't. So instead, they had to stop laughing. Instead, they just... I am a doctor. It is my job to help people feel better.
Well, you fucking succeeded against all odds. I cannot overstate my how impressed I am. Well, shoot.
Like, not exaggerating when people call this doctor a very good doctor.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it's so funny because all they're handing me is standing there.
Uh-huh. Professor is just like, alright, well, since it doesn't hurt, I'm probably, you wouldn't happen to have a sling, would you? Because I have a feeling I'm going to forget that it's hurt,
Oh,
and...
yes, let me... they're gonna look for one
Yeah.
real quickly.
Yeah. Professor's like, I know myself. I'm gonna start moving it, like, immediately when I step out here, because I forgot I dislocated it, like, an hour ago.
Yeah, fucking imagine.
Yeah.
They get you a sling. Uh,
Nice.
uh, but yeah.
Man. I think, um, because they've covered most of the stuff they wanted to cover.
Yeah. I'm trying
Um,
to think if there's anything else.
um,
It,
eh.
it's very unfortunate because this their second history roll. So 13. God damn.
Oh. You did have
I'm
that thing from earlier you could pull out.
I
One.
think, yeah.
A sort of
I think
thing where, like, well, they've completed their task. Uh, now.
hmm, I think I think after a moment of you like being into sling
Mm-hmm.
and then making sure you're alright,
Mm-hmm.
doing one final like check and everything.
Yep.
I think once again they're just gonna ask, are you certain we haven't met before?
Uh, I'm fairly certain, yes. I met you, um, with Detective Izumi and Dr. Crystal, but
Hmm.
not before then. Are you maybe thinking of a different professor? I mean, I'd ask if it was someone who looks like me, but not a lot of people look like me.
Perhaps I did remember. And they kind of bring a hand to their forehead.
Mm-hmm.
I did remember working at the university. Perhaps it was a professor there.
Oh, that would make sense.
Feels important.
What was that?
It feels important.
Hmm. Do you want to sit down and try to remember it?
I yeah, I instead of just finishing that thought, they kind of just sit down.
Uh-huh.
You're not entirely sure if it's because they want to try and remember it or because trying to remember is causing them a headache.
Yeah, yeah. He just kind of leans forward to intently uh watch the doctor. He's a little concerned, but also curious if this will uh turn anything up.
I
There had to have been several professors there, but you were young, probably working under a particular one.
it was very it was very important.
Mm-hmm.
I working on something.
Mm-hmm.
I...
Probably something medical.
They nod.
All right.
I...
Hmm. Is there a name, or do you remember what they looked like, or sounded like, or what they studied, what you worked on?
The accent.
An accent.
Some time ago, I remembered I had a sister, but I don't know why that's important. If it's related.
But you think it might be. All right. Were you working on something related to your sister? Perhaps a medical condition? That would fit, I think.
I am gonna roll them a con save. Oof.
Uh-oh.
Streak of good rolls ended.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, 4. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's just like this sharp intake of air before both their hands go to their head, and just hear them kind of muffle a grunt in pain.
Yeah. I think Professor at this point, he kind of puts a hand on their shoulder and pats them a little bit. It's all right. It's all right. If it's too much, then you can let it go. But you'll be all right.
And they kind of just take a deep breath and just let it go.
You know, he's trying to be a little soothing, a little grounding.
And they kind of look a little disappointed too. A little disappointed and a little upset. But I think they will say this. Let me see if I can figure out how they word it. There was something I saw
Hmm.
after the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Several years afterwards, when I had been first enlisted to Hope Heart, the previous hospital I had worked at.
Mm.
There was a strange condition, and seeing it, I caused a similar pain.
Mm. You had a reaction. Maybe that means that condition is significant to you? Maybe it's what you were studying, or something your sister had, or both?
Maybe?
Hmm. Alright. Well, you've got another piece of the puzzle now. Do you remember what condition it was? Not that you have to say, but you remember what it actually was and not just the fact that something.
I am actually surprised I remember the very specific condition
Huh.
the surgery was for in trauma team.
Ah.
As I gently tap the chronic condition
Eh.
trigger warning again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised this one is coming up.
Mm.
It was a patient with Kaposi sarcoma.
Mm.
But there was something off.
Mm-hmm.
Strange discoloration to the tissue.
Uh-huh.
It was similar to bruising, but don't believe it was bruising.
Mm-hmm. I see. So, it was something a little different from the textbook case of Kaposi sarcoma.
Not only that,
Mm.
the discoloration appeared suddenly, and when it did, the patient's vitals worsened.
That's different. That's unusual.
And they just nod.
Mm. Kaposi sarcoma is usually rather slow.
And they nod.
Huh. Well, maybe it's that difference that you were studying.
Something important.
Mm.
Thing. And they kind of just sigh and shake their head. They can't remember.
Mm-hmm. Professor pats their shoulder again. It's alright. It's alright. I know how frustrating it can be to try to remember something that feels extremely crucial. But it just won't come. Maybe with a little more time.
Right. Mm. And they just kind of heave a sigh.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think Professor gives him another pat and says, well, alright. I think give yourself as long as you need to collect yourself. Before you have to go. You could say I'm being a difficult patient. Because I am.
You certainly don't listen.
No. My hearing's fine, but the listening...
You're certain you don't want me to check that too?
Not today.
Okay. Out of character,
Yeah.
do we want to have Camille drop back in?
Fletch, would you like to?
I can roll to see how difficult the children were. Okay, that is a nat 20, so
Yeah.
yeah. The most useless nat 20 in existence.
That's so funny. That's actually really funny.
Yeah, so he probably does come back in after a little while. Probably noticeably has grass stains on his knee. But things seem to have been resolved otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
As he's just, what I miss.
Well...
The professor is a very stubborn patient.
Ah. Well, he
Oh.
already knew that.
Oh, I certainly have seen that, yes.
But the doctor actually did manage to concoct something that helped in a way that is so complete and thorough that I am still still having trouble believing it.
Well, that's great, actually.
It is.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Mm.
He's doing his best not to pry.
Uh-huh.
He is being respectful. He is not putting Professor on the spot. He is being a good child.
Let me know if you need any more of those.
I will. Thank you.
Camille, I believe I might have remembered something.
Oh, you did? What'd you remember? And let me just roll something. Okay. Pulls out a notebook and a pencil. He is ready for notes.
I I love this little boy. They just go. I believe that when I was working at the university, I was working with a professor. I can't quite name why this professor feels important to me.
Said they have a distinctive accent.
Alright. Good to know. It does relent some areas, though not as much as I'd like, but if the records weren't sealed off, you might be able to look at the directory from it. He's kind of mumbling to himself as he writes.
Inmates like not stopping Camille because like they get the exact same way when it comes to like helping patients.
Yeah. Autism to autism communication.
Yeah, for real.
Once he has that written down, he's, well, this is definitely a good lead, I think. Anything else you remember?
Not directly, I believe. And they're gonna explain along the same lines, of what they told Professor about, how when they had been working back in a hospital in Faruma, they had a patient who had a very strange condition, and seeing that condition flare up all of a sudden gave inmate a similar painful reaction to trying to remember this important memory.
Camille still notes it down. He doesn't want inmate to stress himself out too much. So he won't really like push for any further details. It doesn't seem like it would be directly relevant to the case. At the very least, he doesn't have the particular skill set to figure out what's going on there, but it's good to have a record of it anyways.
Yeah. It felt important to inmate, so maybe the detective can make something of it.
We will have to see. Thanks for telling me.
They kind of just nod at you.
Well, hopefully with our shared notes we can both make a Well, and if I can get you a few extra notes, we'll see. We hopefully will both be able to make a little more progress with solving your particular case, Camille.
Mm-hmm.
If you did manage to find an antidote, temporary as it may be, there is hope to resolve this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think so.
Can I do a funny?
You can.
They try to smile.
I imagine Camille's probably somewhat used to it at this point. But for the professor,
It's very awkward because it's very obviously forced,
Mm-hmm.
but not in a disingenuous way.
Right. They're making an effort on purpose, but it's something that does not come naturally.
No, they are trying so hard to be as reassuring as possible.
uh, I think Professor does notice that it's kind of does not come easy to them, and just gives his own very wide toothy grin, and gives them a pat on the shoulder.
Mhm.
Um I think they stop at that.
Mm-hmm.
You pat them on the shoulder, they stop. And then they look to you, Professor. Then they look back to Camille. Um, and they say, please make sure that the professor does not strain his shoulder further. You should not be using that arm.
I will be sure to tell everyone. Don't you worry. I'm so sorry, Professor.
He's just making a face.
If Professor will listen to inmate.
Yeah. He has admitted that he probably won't. He'll need to be reminded.
If Professor can bully Camille over being a bit too into strenuous activities,
Uh-huh.
then
Oh, absolutely.
Alright.
Yeah. And that's probably where we'll leave him, huh?
Yeah, I say
It-
so.
Yeah.
it feels a pretty good place to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh, that was an FPS.
Oh, it was. And thank you so much to our listening audience, both now and in the future. We'll
Yes.
bid you all a good time zone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.